Hello everyone, this video is something of a sequel to my last video, where we looked at 50 things you might not have known about Tony Hawk's Underground. This time, we'll be doing the same thing for Tony Hawk's Underground 2. I really hope you all enjoy it. We start with the intro cutscene to story mode, which follows on from the events in Underground 1. Here, we get some brief footage of New Jersey, which was one of the levels on the previous game, of course. Have you ever wondered if you can actually skate here? Well, to find out, let's head to the training level. If you create a goal here and zoom all the way out, you can see some grass outside the level boundary. This is actually where New Jersey is located, outside the training level. To get there, we first have to load up the school level in Create a Goal mode. Start creating skate letters over here, and put the player 1 icon right up here in this corner. Place all the skate letters anywhere really, something like this. Then from this menu, what we need to do is press X on edit positions, and press start to pause the game at exactly the same time. If you've done it right, you'll be editing the goal and accessing the pause menu simultaneously. From there, we need to go to level select and pick training. Once the level loads, we'll still be editing the goal. So every time I jump, you'll hear the sound of an input. What's actually happening is that I'm placing one of the skate letters every time I press X to ollie. Once I've pressed X enough times, the goal menu should pop up. Now all we need to do is go down to test goal, or you can complete the goal and then pick it from the view goals menu. So, once you've done this, bam, we are now in New Jersey. What's happened is that the one player start icon that we placed on the school level corresponds with this location on the training level, which just happens to be where New Jersey is. So let's check out New Jersey. As it's only used very briefly in the story mode intro, only a small part of the level has been modelled, with many of the original parts of New Jersey missing. Still, we can check out what's here. The part of the level that is used for the cinematic is playable. You can go up these vert ramps here, but you don't seem to be able to lip on the edge of the roof. There are some ramps that aren't solid, however, but you can get up on these roofs here. This area is quite weird, as the vert ramps are solid, but there's no floor in between them, which makes for some strange effects when you try to skate them. What's pretty cool about New Jersey here is that there are no out of bounds flags, which means the game doesn't check to see if you're outside the level, as technically this is the training level, so we're already out of bounds. So you can explore parts of New Jersey that you couldn't explore as easily on Thug 1. Here are a couple more ramps that are solid, and you can also see that there's no scenery over here either. Also, you can jump in this fence and explore this area of the level here, which you could get to on Thug 1, but only through the use of glitches. You can get behind and even inside this row of houses as well. Again, there's nothing too interesting here, but it's another section of the level that was previously inaccessible. Oh, by the way, you can jump up and see this bridge here, and you can also get a good look back at some of the actual training level here too. So, I hope you guys decide to try this one for yourselves. It's a lot of fun. Okay, off to Boston now, where we revisit a running Easter egg in the Tony Hawk series of games. If you go over here to these apartments and go up here, you can once again see a man staring at a goat. Well, actually, he's doing more than staring. He's dancing, complete with some special music that only plays right here in this spot. If we go up to the adjacent room, we can meet the person generally known as the Star Wars Kid. You can also interact with him to get the kid to show you his moves, if you can call them that. This Easter egg was based on a real-life internet meme from around the time of the game's release, which was a video of a 15-year-old Canadian kid by the name of Ghislaine Raza imitating Darth Maul using a golf ball retriever. The originally private video was discovered by his classmates, posted online, and the rest is history. Oh, also, the Star Wars Kid appears on the Triangle level, showcasing his moves in front of several aliens. The Kid appears as an unlockable skater as well, which we'll see later in the video. Off to Berlin now, specifically to this gallery, which is based loosely on the real-life Neue National Gallery for Modern Art. However, that's not what we're here to discuss. If you enter the building in story mode, you can see Cut Chemist here, who is unlockable as a bonus skater and also has a song on the game's soundtrack. You can interact with Cut Chemist, and doing so will make him play his music, which will slowly break each pane of glass in the building. Once they're all broken, you can smash through each one like this. And you can even break the ones that form the ceiling of the gallery as well. Once you've done this, you can see that it's now fully open air, much different to how it started out. Back to Boston and to the Massachusetts State House. This is where you meet Benjamin Franklin on story mode. If you go into this section of the State House that's accessible, you can see a bunch of paintings with clown faces on them. It's believed that these are real-life historical figures, most likely politicians. However, I don't believe any of their identities have ever been confirmed. Maybe one day we'll know the answer. Sticking in Boston, there's another point of interest just around the corner. On the side of the Boston Tea House here is a teapot sign which you can grind on. You can even see steam coming out of it. If you do manage to grind on it, you'll hear the sound of a boiling teapot. We head to Barcelona now, and towards this section of the level which is deemed out of bounds. However, you can get here by way of glitches. However, the interesting thing about this bit of the level is that graffiti over there. If you look closely, you can see that this says CKY. CKY is of course a band originally consisting of Darren Miller, Chad Ginsberg and Jess Margera, brother of Bam. CKY was also used as the name for the group of friends that consisted of Bam and others, who released videos under the same name of stunts and skateboarding. Sticking with Barcelona, if you head over to Park Güell, you can see these two houses in front of the actual park area here. These houses exist in real life and are designed to look like gingerbread houses by the artist Gaudi. So therefore it's only fitting that Thug 2's creators decided to add an evil gingerbread man staring out of one of the windows. Also in Barcelona, let's head over to this area over here, where we can see what look like market stalls located out of bounds. Using moon gravity, it's possible to get out of bounds here. Just follow what I do here if you want to try this for yourselves. Anyway, what's interesting about this area is that there is a pile of bull crap sitting right here. And like all the rest of the poo on the level, you can still ollie off it and perform some tricks. Once you release the bull from its cage, it'll run around the level and drop poo as it goes. But it never goes near the market out of bounds. So what is this pile of dung doing here? Well, if you go to story mode, switch to the bullfighter to unlock the guest goals, and check out the smells like bull dung goal, you can see that the out of bounds bull poo is actually used as the background image for this goal. So that's what it's there for. Okay, last one on Barcelona for now. If you go over here to the Hospital de Sant Pau and jump up to this window, you can see a bloody stretcher, which seems to vibrate on the spot. This is likely a reference to the fact that this building is a real-life hospital in Barcelona. Well, which is not in operation anymore. It's now a tourist attraction. Weirdly, the bloody stretcher was censored on certain other versions of the game. I recommend watching Oddheader's video on this, which I'll link in the video's description. In New Orleans, you can find this dumpster here on the level. On it, you can see the number 420, a Neversoft favourite. But also another number as well, 8675309. At first this looks inconspicuous, but it's actually the name of a song. It refers to 8675309 Jenny by Tommy Two-Tone, which was released back in 1981. Back to Boston briefly now. Do you remember on story mode, to unlock Jesse James as the secret skater on this level, you had to go down this ramp to this door here. Jesse James would be shown inside the bar before teleporting outside it, at which point you could then switch and play as Jesse. However, have you ever wondered where the bar area actually is on the level? Well, it's located underneath it. To get there, we can use the same glitch as we did to get to New Jersey. Go to create a goal mode and load up Berlin. Place the player 1 start icon here, just like I've done, and then like before, press X and start at the same time on the edit positions option. Then navigate to change level and pick Boston. Press the action button as many times as it takes to bring up the edit goal menu again. Then go down to test goal and ta-da! You're now inside the bar. Funnily enough, Jesse James is actually still down here. And you can see that the only section of the bar that is shown on camera is modelled. Now, you're free to explore. Also, this bar is called Jeers, which should give you a clue to the bar that it's modelled from. It's the bar from the 1980s sitcom Cheers. Alright, so the next thing on our list takes place on multiple levels. First we start on Canada. If you jump down to the water here, you can land on one of 2 little islands. Once here you can actually Natas spin on the ice, which reveals this hidden message. Similarly, on LA, there is another hidden message. In fact, more than one. Firstly, if you go over to this pool here and grind around it, the game will keep track of how many times you get around it without falling off. Then if you head to this pillar, you can actually wall ride around it, and the game will count how many times you're able to go around. You could try to skitch a car if you wanted to generate some extra speed in hope of getting a higher score. Lastly, and I think this is my favourite one. If you manage to manual down this ledge, you'll get this message, and you'll hear the sound of a crowd cheering. By the way, Andy THPS was one of the people who worked on the game, as well as previous titles in the series. People in the comments section of my Thug 1 video actually pointed out that Andy recorded the demo combos on Underground 1, which I featured in the video. Anyway, do you know of any other hidden messages on the game? Let me know in the comments. Sticking in LA, if you go up to the overpass before you trigger the earthquake, you should be able to see a few familiar vehicles up there. You can see the street racer's car from New Jersey, and also the sedan from the Moscow level. This isn't the only place that some of these cars appear either, so keep your eyes peeled for them on other levels as well. Also on LA, did you know that there's an invisible rail on the level? Before the earthquake has been triggered, get up on top of the car wash and set yourself up like this. Then ollie and press triangle to grind. If you've hit the right spot, you will grind on thin air. I believe this could actually be the road sign that's attached to the freeway that falls down after you set the earthquake off. So I guess the ability to grind in this spot just accidentally got left in at the start of the level. Next up is Australia, which is likely based on the Bondi Beach area of coastline. If you go down onto the beach, you'll notice that the game forces you to get off your board and walk instead, as you can't really skate on sand in real life, right? However, if you want to set a restart here, then go to that restart, you can actually then skate on the sand, which is pretty funny to see. Although, as soon as you ollie, you'll be forced back off your board again. On story mode, a recurring goal for the player is to complete the arcade machine high score. If you take a look at the arcade machine on Skatopia, you might actually spot that the letters that make up the default high scores actually spell something out. It says, 10 hardcore years kicking your ass, in tribute to the longevity of the series. Also on Skatopia, if you skate this section of the level here, a cat will jump on your head for a few seconds, before jumping off again. However, did you ever wonder what would happen if you threw a smoke bomb while the cat was on your head? Well, it causes the cat to stay on your head. You can then skate around the level for as long as you like, with your newly acquired sidekick. One funny thing to try is performing a front flip or a back flip. The cat flies away and then just goes back onto your head. Also, freakouts look quite funny in this state as well. I was trying to perform the freakout where you smash the board with your head, but I couldn't get my character to do it. That's one for you guys to try. Here's a glitch that I remember being talked about a lot, not long after the game's release. Head up to the freeway again on LA and skitch a car that's heading in this direction. When you do this, for some reason, you will bypass the out of bounds flag, and you can explore this huge area here. There's a fair amount of space to explore here, so I recommend that you guys do this for yourselves. And you can even get into the liquor store, like I've done here. Here's another one you might have seen before, but it's just too good not to include in the video. Okay, so on Canada, go to this spot here, grab onto the top of this ramp. Go as far to the left as the game will let you, then drop down, and you will fall through the level. There's this big area down here to explore. Any area like this that's found underneath a level is generally referred to as a hell. In the Tony Hawk universe at least. While any accessible area above a level is often referred to as a heaven. Back to New Orleans now. Do you remember how you can raise the dead to access the secret skater in story mode? You might also remember that you have to do a Christ air over this statue to banish all the zombies. Have you ever taken a closer look at this statue? You'd probably think that it's Jesus, right? Well, no. It's actually a statue of Jeff. This could potentially relate to the Neversoft developer Jeff Morgan, but this is unconfirmed. Remember guys, Jeff loves you. Give yourself to Jeff. Okay, back to Boston and to the Rib-Off Bank. If you go up this bird ramp here, you can break into the bank. Special music will play while you explore this area. It all looks pretty normal until you notice that there's a portrait of what is likely to be one of the Neversoft developers on the wall. I don't believe the identity of this person has ever been confirmed, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was Kurt Gutierrez again. I mean, it kind of looks like him, but I can't really say that with any real degree of certainty. Okay, heading back to LA now, and probably not for the last time in this video. Once you trigger the earthquake event, this car will appear here, dangling over the edge of the freeway. Weirdly, this isn't even a car that was previously driving on the freeway, it's totally different. Anyway, if you walk or skate on it, it'll fall off down to the ground below. You might notice that for some reason it has now changed colour from dark grey to silver. However, the fact that I wanted to share as part of this video is that, did you know you can actually grind the wheels off this car once it's fallen off the freeway? You can also carry on interacting with them once they're off the car, and you can even hit them into out of bounds areas. Did you know that there exists at least 3 interactive musicians on Thug 2? The first can be found here in the subway in Boston.
Sure, I'll play for you.
The second can be found here on Berlin.
Oh, do you like the German music?
Lastly, there's this trio here on New Orleans. Next up is Skatopia, which famously features Bigfoot as a secret skater in story mode. However, have you ever noticed this graffiti of Bigfoot here? This actually relates to the artist Bigfoot One. You can actually unlock Bigfoot One as a bonus skater too, and we'll see a bit more of this character later in the video. Did you know that every character on the game has their own unique graffiti tag? Well, strap yourselves in. We're going to check out every single one in no particular order. there's a secret skater that's exclusive to the PC version of Tony Hawk's Underground 2. And it's a guy called Nick. Actually, this is the protagonist from the game True Crime Streets of LA. Like all the other characters, Nick has his own graffiti tag as well. Okay, back to LA again, and back to the freeway again. Okay, so to get the earthquake to start, you have to grind all 4 of these rails in any order. Once you've grinded all of them, the earthquake will begin. Usually what happens is that the screen will shake to imitate the effects of the earthquake. But this only seems to happen if you're on your board. So once you grind the last rail, jump off your board and land on your feet. Then go to change level and pick any other level. Once it's loaded up, get back on your board and the shaking from the earthquake will now play. On New Orleans, if you head through the crypt and out to here, you can see this boat here. On the sign it says, "Sit down and put a sock in it." However, the interesting thing about this boat is that if you stand on it for a short time, it will sink without warning, never to return unless you reload the level. Another fact about LA, and again, it's not the last. If you go towards the liquor store here, you can actually go through this door, which will teleport you to above the movie theatre, and you'll get the Gap production drop. Los Angeles has appeared in 3 Tony Hawk's games to date. Pro Skater 3, Underground 2, and Pro Skater HD. However, LA and Thug 2 was the only version of LA to feature the ability to go through the liquor store and teleport to the top of the theatre. On the other games, when you try to enter the door, you just hit a solid wall. Okay, back to Boston, where we have 2 interesting objects to hit with a sticker slap. The first is this ATM by the bank. If you sticker slap it, money will fly out. Also, there's this porta potty in the construction site. If you sticker slap it, it reveals a rancid toilet with flies buzzing around it. If you sticker slap it from the same angle as me here, then jump off your board, you can actually go through it. Okay, back to training now. Have you ever taken a closer look at the taxi that's on the level? Well, this is actually the Shabby Cab, which was originally from Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4. Here's some footage of it from back then. Sticking with the training level, when you're on the level select screen, you can see where all the different levels are located. Most are named after real life locations too, such as Berlin and New Orleans. You might also notice that there's a pin on the map for the training level too, despite it not being named after a real life location. According to where the pin is, training is actually located in Idaho. Okay, back to Barcelona now. Do you remember on Manhattan on Thug 1, there was the No Kurt sign? Well, this gag has been revived for Thug 2. If you go down to this area here, near Mare Magnum, you can see a sign that says, "Por favor, no Kurt en la agua." This translates to, "No Kurt in the water, please." The ability to Natas spin was newly added to Tony Hawk's Underground 2. It allowed you to perform the trick on things like fire hydrants and poles. However, did you know that it's actually possible to Natas spin on the scooter riders' heads on Barcelona? Actually pretty funny to see. On certain levels, you have the ability to trigger a cutscene that destroys a section of the level. On Boston, you can destroy the construction site by setting your board on fire and then grinding these 2 cannons. Then this cutscene will play. Afterwards, you can explore the changed part of the level to find some new lines and combos. Also, there's a destruction cutscene on Berlin. all you have to do is grind on this black and yellow rail up here, which I think is meant to be like an electrical cable or something. A train will derail and destroy this bar down here. Once this event has taken place, you can now skate inside the bar, and also inside this container from the derailed train. Also, speaking of this bar, before it gets destroyed, you can see that it says, beer, on the front, which is likely to be a reference to Homer Simpson. If you created a goal with the starting point inside the bar, you can actually get behind the bar itself as well, which you usually wouldn't be able to do. But what would happen if we set up this goal with this starting point, then reset the level to before the train crash occurred? Well, let's check it out. Interestingly, some of the textures exist at this point, but not many. You can see some glasses, the overflowing beer, the clock, and a couple more things as well. Okay, now we visit Airport for the first time, which is a level that was brought back from Pro Skater 3, much like LA and Canada. There's a metal detector guy who is usually found on the Australia level, but he also makes an appearance here too. If you go to the toilets, you can see him trying to metal detect underneath the cubicles. I don't know what else to say about this one, but for some reason it comes across as pretty pervy. Okay, back to Barcelona now, and we're going to check out something similar to one of the things I included in the Thug 1 video, which showed what happened if you managed to skitch a car further out of bounds. Except here we're going to be doing it with a Natas spin instead. I'm going to use the same method as before to get out of bounds, where you create a goal, and then you carry it over to another level. I figured out that this spot on Boston was exactly the spot I needed. Anyway, so once I got to this spot here, I set a restart point and then skated down to the other end of the road to get the scooter to spawn. Once I saw the scooter, I went back to my restart and waited for the scooter to come past. Once again, we're going to Natas spin on this poor bloke's head. He will ride further out of bounds than you can go, and then will disappear here, leaving you infinitely Natas spinning on nothing. Man, I feel dizzy. Okay, over to New Orleans now. So we already discussed how you can raise the dead, and then subsequently banish the zombies once more. But we haven't really talked about the Voodoo Doctor character. He appears as the level's secret skater on story mode, while he's also unlockable as a bonus skater in other modes as well. Anyway, so the inspiration for this character is likely to be the interpretation of the folklore character Baron Samedi from the James Bond film Live and Let Die. However, in the Raising of the Dead cutscene and also on story mode, he appears on this little motorised tricycle as well. The inspiration for this aspect of his appearance could well be Jigsaw from Saw. Okay, sticking on the same level, you can pick up beads on New Orleans, which can be used to throw at people. However, if you throw the beads at any female pedestrians on the level, they will flash you in return. Except that it's censored though. Alright, so you might remember that there is a fish tank on Berlin. If you sticker slap it once, the glass will crack. Sticker slap it twice and the glass will fully break, allowing you to get inside the fish tank. However, there was originally a fish in the tank, and when the tank breaks, it seems to disappear. So what if we were to create a goal inside the fish tank, and then reload the level so that the tank is unbroken again? Well, doing this allows us to get inside the fish tank before it's broken. And we can actually see that the fish is a solid object, and it can even push my skater around the tank. Have you ever looked closely at the gravestones in the cemetery in New Orleans? There's one that seems to say Shia, And there's also another that says Jingo Yahomo. But the one that we're here to discuss is this one, which says Disco 1974 to 1980, in reference to the death of the somewhat short-lived disco craze of the late 70s. On Skatopia on Story Mode, the secret skater to unlock is none other than Bigfoot. You can gain access to Bigfoot by locating the chainsaw. However, did you know that before you do this, you can actually see Bigfoot located out of bounds? If you head over here, you can just about see Bigfoot in the trees back there. What's more is that you can go and pick up some smoke bombs, and you're even able to throw those smoke bombs at Bigfoot while he's out of bounds. Alright, over to the triangle level now, which is a place that's inspired, at least in part, by the real-life Bermuda Triangle. One interesting thing to note about the makeup of the level is that certain parts are recycled from other levels in the Tony Hawk series. For example, we have the pirate ship here, which you might recognise from Skater Island on Pro Skater 3. Also, do you recognise this half pipe here? It's actually the same one that featured in Skate Heaven in Pro Skater 2, from the secret part of the level that you can only access by jumping into the volcano. Funnily enough, the ramp itself was inspired by the movie, The Search for Animal Chin. Here's a classic glitch that you might have heard of before, as it was pretty popular around the time of the game's release. If you go to Pro Skater, specifically the Hell portion of the level, and go down to this half pipe here, you can perform a glitch that will push you through the wall. Simply go to one of the corners and spray your graffiti tag. After a couple of tries, you should have passed through the wall, and therefore you can now explore here. On one side there's a big demon, and on the other side there's a corridor with lots of hands stretching out from behind bars. Did you ever pay a visit to the library in Boston? You can manual all the way through it to get a gap. There are cool signs to read on the walls, and there are all those rows of books here which fade to black at the end. If you go all the way down there, the game will flag you as out of bounds and you'll be reset. There is a way to explore a bit more down here though. Go to this point here next to the library and set a restart. Now go and find a rail to grind and intentionally bail to the right. As soon as this happens, go to the restart you just made. The momentum of the bail will send you through the wall and you'll land on top of the bookcases. Of course, this glitch is one of several ways to get out of bounds in this game, and you can use it in other places as well. There are numerous funny signs on the airport, not as many as on Pro Skater 3, but still some worth sharing. Have you ever noticed that there's a fictional airline called Hawk Air mentioned in several places on the level? Obviously this is a reference to Tony Hawk. Also, there's a message displayed here that reads, "Do not leave yourself unattended." There's one here that reads, "Neversoft Las Vegas trip." And another one that says, "We lost your bags again." Okay, so I think this is probably one of my favourite things I came across during the making of this video. Go to create a park mode and either build a park from scratch or just load a pre-made park. Then switch the background theme to this one here. It's full of cool gravestones, churches, and haunted houses. You also might be able to see a car over there in the distance. Let's use the create a goal glitch again to get a closer look. It actually appears to be the mystery machine from Scooby-Doo. Minus the logos and whatnot for copyright reasons. But it fits very nicely with the Halloween and spooky theme of this particular background. Downhill Jam is one of the few linear levels in the Tony Hawk series, and therefore, when you get to the end of it, you'll pass through a reset point, and the game will place you back at the start, ready for another run. However, did you know that you can bypass this reset point? Simply go down here and around the finish line, and the game won't even check to see if you've got to the end. From here you can explore the small portion of the level that was previously inaccessible. And appreciate the nice view out to sea. Back to Canada now, and to this spot here. On Pro Skater 3, there was a man taking a piss off the side of the ramp here. But in Thug 2, he was replaced by the ramp kid from the Australia level. If you perform a lip trick right next to him, he'll fall off the edge and say, "I don't want to die."
Oh no, I don't want to die!
And here we are at the last item in this video. And we're back in New Orleans for this one. Backed in where near the sinking boat is located. If you look into the swampy area here, you can sometimes make out something moving through the water. No, it's not Bigfoot, it's New Orleans' very own swamp monster. So with that, I want to thank you all for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it and that you learned a few new things about a game you used to enjoy when you were younger. See you next time.